Hello friends, I have a fun thing for us to work on today. It is this page. It's going to be a long one, so what we're going to do is break it down. I'm going to show you how to make the fodder for all the scraps. I'm going to show you how to make this long part back here, and then I'm going to show you how to make this flap. So 2 or 3 we'll get through, and we're going to have a few weeks of fun as we do this. Okay, so let's get started on how to make all this really beautiful background paper. First thing we're going to do is we're going to make fodder or paper scraps for the background. You're going to need a baggie, a gallon-sized baggie. I add some bubble wrap inside of this. You don't have to, but it gives some fun texture to your papers. You're going to need old scraps of paper. I use book pages that I spread white paint on top of, just white acrylic paint. An old key card, good old paper towels, handy dandy Artist Loft white paint, and then just craft paint in different colors. I'm going to start with a blue and a green and some gold. Okay, so here we go. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to put some white paint on here. That's probably, I'm going to say, like a half a tablespoon or so. Then I'm going to add a little bit of gold, a little bit of the green, and a little bit of the blue. Okay, so just drops here and there. And then I'm going to take my key card and I'm going to smush this paint around. I do this with a super light touch. I don't take it and drag it because that'll take the paint off. I basically just lightly feather it in. Okay, so that's all you're going to do. And you're going to take your scrap paper with the white paint on it. That's dry. You're going to lay it on top. You're basically making yourself a fake jelly plate. I'm going to rub that in there, and you're going to pull that off. Now, if you are happy with this, you can leave it. If you think, okay, I kind of want some more paint color in here, take that spot that you want filled up and put it back down over where there's more color, and you can pick up more color for yourself. And it comes out like that. I'm going to put that aside to dry, and I'm going to re-feather this because I think there's kind of some large splotches of white in here. I'm going to add a little bit more green, literally just a drop. I'm going to add a tiny bit of gold, and I'm going to re-feather that. Then I'm going to put my paper over, spread it, lift it. Again, I kind of have this white here, so I'm going to see if I can cover some of that with some green, because I'm really liking the green and I really like the gold in here. There we go. I'm going to put that back over it. And I like that. So I'm going to take that, put it to the side. I have lots of paint on here. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up some more on another piece of paper. And the fun thing with this is that you can just keep going. So maybe you're looking at this and you're thinking, I'd kind of like to go in a little bit different direction, maybe darken it up a little bit. So I'm just going to add a little bit of darker blue with some of the gold. I'm going to feather that back in and then see if I like it. So I kind of don't mind that. Personally, I think that blue is a little, I think it's a little dull, this dark blue, but you might like it. So if I think it's a little dull, I'm going to add just a little bit more white paint. And I'm going to throw some neon pink on here. And then I'm going to add the gold. And I'm going to feather this up. Okay. Now I can choose to leave this and maybe see if I like it for something else. You could go over it again, but I'm going to try a new piece of paper. See what I get. Pretty bold, huh? I like that. I'm going to add some green. And I'm going to go over this again with the green, like so. And then I'm going to take my last sheet of paper. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of paper. I like that a lot. That is fun. Okay, don't clean this off yet. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take some sheets of tissue paper. I like to do it with 2 layers. And we're going to use up the last of this paint. I'm going to spray it with some water. I've got some coffee grounds. A little bit of this goes a very, very long way. Ugh, okay, that's it. Just this little bit. Let me show you. That's all I'm going to put on there. Now, the reason I wet it first is that this will soak in the coffee grounds, because if you put the coffee grounds in and it's a little dry and then you spray it, you're going to blow away all your coffee grounds. This way, I'm going to get it all nice and mushy. Take my key card and kind of spread that around. You could use a skewer, the end of a paintbrush to do this part. So what you're getting is a super wet, marbly effect. And you can use your tissue, or if you don't have tissue, go ahead and use another piece of paper. But I like the tissue because it gives a transparent look. And again, I like using 2 layers, because if you use just one and you try and pull this up, it doesn't work so well. It usually tears the paper. So I'm going to put a little bit more white. In with this and add it to my tissue. This is quite messy, quite fun. And then I'm going to lay that over something to dry. If you lay it down flat, it's going to adhere to whatever you lay it on. So I have this bottle that I use for water, and I'm just going to lay it like this. So that's the idea of how to get that to dry. I'm going to do one more because I have some more tissue paper here. I'm going to add well, I think I'm going to add, there we go, a little bit of that. And I'm going to add my paper, although I kind of want just a little bit of green in there. And this is where I realize for the duration of the video, my microphone quit and I had no idea. So I apologize, but I will be finishing this video with a voiceover. Ooh, yay. All right, here we go. So this is the second bit of tissue paper that I pulled off. It is just as yummy as the first one. I really like it. And I'm going to keep picking up more paint. And part of it did rip. So that is my sign. Kind of my sign to stop and put it over something to dry. Now then, the good thing about these is that you do not have to throw this away. I think I've had this one baggie that I have used probably for a year. So I make sure I seal it shut. I take it over to the sink. I wash it off. I scrub it. I dry it. And it's good to go. Now here is the finished product. I made these gorgeous papers in about 10 minutes. And you can do the same thing. Now, I love these, but the other thing I like to do is I'm going to take 2 of them and we're going to do some mark making on this. To do that, we're going to add a little bit of this black craft paint onto my handy dandy little salad lid. I have an old handle of a foam brush, a skewer. You can use a stick, you can use a pencil, you can use the end of a paintbrush. It doesn't matter. It's just whatever you have hanging around that you don't mind throwing into paint and making some marks. Now, my favorite marks to make are circles. So I'm going to take this end of the dowel and just put some circles down the page. I like to go back, pick up some paint from one that kind of is a little bit heavier in paint, and then continue. They don't have to be perfect marks. It's not fun if they're perfect marks. Just continue to play and see what you come up with. Here it is a little bit closer. You can see it's not all filled in, and that's okay. So I'm just gonna kind of keep playing around and making my little circles. This is a really fun time to ask yourself the question, what happens if? What happens if I just fill up half the paper? What happens if I only do one line? What happens if I maybe take the end of my stick and roll it? And I realize my hand motions are not coordinating with what I'm saying. This is the problem with my microphone breaking, but we are going to keep going. All right, so I do remember when I filmed this, when you dip your skewer or your stick or your pencil or your end of your paintbrush into the paint, just have fun with it, roll it around. You get the idea. Mush it, make marks, see where it takes you. You cannot go wrong with this, I promise. And this is the reason why. When you use this paper, you're not going to know what section you're going to have. And just look at this little cute piece. Just that one little section is beautiful on its own. All right, so I'm going to take this stick, skewer thing, roll it around through here. Yep, just make lots and lots and lots of marks. So this is where I'm going to tell you you can get out all your frustrations. You can just take that paint, you can roll it, you can think about things that make you upset, and you can take all that aggression out on this piece of paper. Now, you don't have to be angry to do this. You can just be having fun. But if you look at it and you think, I kind of went a little overboard, I do have a suggestion for you. Okay. All right. If it's too much for you, make sure it's dry. You're going to add a little more paint to your bag. I have washed this bag off. I've dried it. Now I'm just going to throw some more paint on it. Yes, this is the original baggie that I have been using. So I'm going to throw some more white paint on it. I'm going to add a little bit more color. And I'm going to add some more blue. And a little drop of gold. I'm not adding a ton like I did the first time. It's much less amount of paint. I'm going to feather all this in. There we go. And then, yep, I'm going to take that paper. I'm going to lay it right back over that wet paint. Push that in. Then I'm going to lift it off. And it's gone. See? Brand new piece of paper. Has a couple little of those black marks. If you want, you can go back in, add some more, leave it like this. It is totally up to you. Me being me, I cannot leave well enough alone, and I'm going to add some more black marks because I did want, to be fair, I did want a couple of sheets with some black marks on it. But this time I'm just going to add a few and we'll go from there. Because I do have some paint left on this from redoing that last piece, I'm just going to grab a sheet of book paper that I managed to dip in this paint. But I don't have white paint prepped on it. I'm just going to show you what it looks like plain. I like that a lot. And I still have paint left over, so I'm going to do as many pieces of paper as I can. And what I'm going to do is I've got some sheet music. I'm going to throw that on there and I'm going to pick up as much of the paint as I can. So that comes out a little light. I do like it. I think I'm going to try one more and see if we can get even more paint up. So lift that up. Not so great. So I'll see what happens. What happens if I wet that paint and I put that paper back on there? Yes, it will pull up more paint. And you just have to kind of play with it to see how much it'll pick up and if you're happy with that. I like it. It's kind of soft. It's pretty. I'll keep futzing with this just a little bit. And that's what I'm going to do. One more. Okay, here we go. Last one. Now, you guys, look at this. This is what we made. This is so fun. I can hardly stand it. I hope you take the rest of this week. You make as many papers as you can because next week I'm going to come back and we're going to put this into stage 2, and it's going to be really fun, and we're going to make lots of cool stuff with this. So make sure that you like and subscribe so that you will not miss anything coming up, because we are going to, like I said, we are going to make a ton of fun stuff. All right, go forth, ask yourself what you can make, what happens if, grab all your paints, have fun, and I will see you back next week.